Some of the smartest people I know are still struggling with money, not because they're lazy, not because they don't try, they read the articles, they understand the basics, they know what they're supposed to do. But knowing and doing are two completely different things. You've probably felt this yourself. You understand that saving is important, you know debt is expensive, you've heard about investing for the future, and yet something stops you. Maybe you spend money you meant to save. Maybe you avoid looking at your bank account. Maybe you take risks you know you shouldn't. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being smart does not protect you from bad money decisions. In fact, sometimes it makes things worse. Because smart people are really good at one thing, justifying their choices. You can convince yourself that this purchase makes sense, that this risk is calculated, that you deserve this expense right now. Your intelligence becomes a tool to explain away mistakes instead of preventing them. Think about it. If being smart automatically made people wealthy, the world would look very different. Every high achiever would be financially secure, every educated person would retire comfortably, every logical thinker would have money figured out, but that's not what we see, because money doesn't care about your IQ, it doesn't care about your education or your ability to solve problems. Money responds to something else entirely, something schools don't teach, something most people never learn. And until you understand what that is, you'll keep wondering why being smart feels like it should be enough, but it never is. Let's be honest. You already know the basics of money. Save more than you spend. Avoid bad debt. Think long term. A child could understand these ideas. So why is it still hard? Because money decisions don't happen in your brain, they happen in your emotions. You're not sitting down with a calculator when you make most choices. You're feeling something, fear, excitement, pressure, desire, and those feelings are stronger than logic. Imagine this, your friends are going on a trip, everyone's excited, they're all booking flights, but you can't really afford it right now. What do? Your brain knows the smart answer, say no. Save your money, wait for a better time. But your emotions tell a different story. Saying no feels like being left out, like admitting you're struggling, like losing your place in the group. So you book the trip anyway. That's not a math problem, that's an ego problem. Or think about this, the stock market drops. You've heard that this is normal, that you should stay calm and wait, but watching your money disappear feels terrible. You can't stop checking your phone, you can't sleep, so one day you sell everything just to make the feeling stop. That's not a knowledge problem, that's a fear problem. Or this one, you get a promotion, more money finally, and almost immediately you start spending more. Better apartment, nicer things, more takeout. You don't even plan it, it just happens. That's not a logic issue, that's human behavior. The gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it isn't about information. It's about emotions you don't know how to handle. Greed tells you this opportunity is special. Fear screams that you'll lose it all. Ego insists you deserve more than you have. And your intelligence, it just watches. Or worse, it helps you explain why your emotions are actually right. You can be the smartest person in the room and still let feelings control your money. Because personal finance is not about being smart. It's about understanding how money makes you feel and learning not to let those feelings make your decisions. Most people never figure that out. Here's something most people miss completely. Getting rich and staying rich are two different skills. They sound like the same thing, but they're almost opposites. Getting rich requires optimism, taking chances, believing you can win. It's about moving forward. Staying rich requires something different, caution, humility, protecting what you have. It's about not losing. And this is where smart people often fail. Because intelligence loves, so you build wealth, maybe through a good job, a smart investment, a business that works, and then you keep playing the same aggressive game, but the game has changed. The same bold moves that made you money can destroy it just as fast. Think about people who made fortunes and lost them, not because they were stupid, but because they kept taking risks when they should have started protecting. And they thought being smart would keep them safe, that they could see problems coming, that they were different, but they weren't. Here's the truth. Survival isn't about making the most money possible. It's about avoiding the one big mistake that wipes everything out. The person who earns average returns for 40 years without major disasters will always beat the person who earns amazing returns for 10 years and then loses it all. Always. Because in money, staying in the game is everything. And staying in the game means accepting that sometimes the smartest move looks boring. It means keeping extra cash that could be invested, saying no to opportunities that might work, building safety margins that feel excessive. Smart people hate this. It feels like wasting potential. But survival doesn't care about potential. It cares about what you still have when things go wrong. And that shift from building wealth to protecting it, that's where most people never make the turn. They stay in offense mode forever until one bad decision ends the game. There's one word that changes everything about money: enough. Most people never use it. Think of it like climbing a mountain. You start climbing, you make progress, the view gets better. But here's the question: when do you stop? Most people can't answer because they're not climbing toward a specific point. They're just climbing because the mountain is there, because stopping feels like giving up, because someone else is still going. So they keep climbing higher and higher until the air gets thin, the risks get bigger, and one mistake sends them all the way down. That's life without enough. You reach your goal and immediately move it further away. You earn a good income, but it doesn't feel good because someone else earns more. You achieve security, but it doesn't count because you don't have luxury. The finish line keeps moving, and every time it moves, you take on more risk. The stressful job, the bigger investment, the lifestyle that matches your new level. Your brain tells you it makes sense. More is better than less, right? But more isn't better when it costs you peace, time, sleep, freedom. The things money was supposed to give you. Enough is the point where you stop trading your life for small gains. It's not about lowering your dreams. It's about knowing when the game stops being worth it. Because the difference between having enough and wanting more isn't the amount. It's the feeling. Enough feels calm. More feels urgent. Enough protects what you have. More risks it. Enough lets you rest. More keeps you anxious. And here's the sad part. The people who never define enough are often the ones who had it and lost it because they kept playing after they'd already won. Intelligence can tell you the benefits of every opportunity, but only wisdom asks, what am I actually trying to achieve? And once you answer that question, once you draw that line, money stops controlling you because you're not chasing anymore. You're protecting, and protection is how you survive. Curious. So what does all this mean if being smart isn't enough? If knowledge doesn't guarantee results, if the skills that built your wealth might destroy it, what actually matters? It's simpler than it sounds. Pause. Money doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards behavior. Consistency beats brilliance. Patience beats cleverness. Calm beats confidence. It rewards your ability to feel uncomfortable emotions without reacting to them, to watch others take risks you won't take, to define success for yourself and ignore everyone else's definition. These aren't things you learn in school. They're things you learn by watching yourself, noticing how you feel when money is involved, and choosing not to let that feeling control you. The smartest money move isn't finding the perfect investment. It's understanding yourself well enough to avoid your own mistakes. Because the biggest danger to your financial future isn't the economy or bad luck or the market whispers. It's you. On a bad day, when you're emotional, when your ego is hurt, when fear or greed feels overwhelming. That version of you can destroy more than any outside force ever could, unless you prepare for it, unless you build protection against yourself, unless you accept that being smart means nothing if you can't stay calm. This isn't taught anywhere, but it can be learned. And once you see it, once you understand that money is really about psychology, everything starts making sense. So here's the real question. Not how much do you know about money, but how well do you know yourself when money is involved? If this made you think, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. I'll keep exploring the psychology behind the choices we make but rarely question. And let me know in the comments, what's one money decision you made emotionally that you wish you could redo? Not to judge, just to think about it together, because we've all been there, and that's the whole point.